Hello, everybody, and welcome here to the Wine with Jimmy channel. Thank you for clicking by. This is all things vineyards on this channel. Lots of information for you to enjoy wine more. Here, we're going to look at a video on a sparkling wine in Italy called Prosecco. So if you're interested in Prosecco and learning very fine detail about it, this video is for you. So if you're also studying the Diploma, WSET Level 4, this follows the syllabus of the Diploma exceptionally closely with some added bits and bobs to give you greater information. If you do have any comments, any questions, do you like Prosecco? Have you visited maybe northeast Italy? Have you been to Conegliano, Valdobbiadene, Treviso, Venice? What styles do you like? Please do get in touch. It's always lovely to hear from you. So we're going to talk about all things Prosecco here. We have covered Prosecco in the first series in terms of introduction, winemaking, grape variety. Now we're looking at the actual DOC, so the geography and also the wine business around it. So let's get rocking and rolling. And there's only this one video in this series. So this is your map. Now, the Prosecco was originally an IGT, an Indicazione Geographica Tipica, which is like a big country wine. And it was devoted to Prosecco. And now it's been bumped up to DOC status. It covers two regions, Veneto and Friuli, Venezia, Giulia, and across those two regions, 9 provinces. And you'll see them listed here: Vicenza, Padova, Treviso, Venice, Pordenone, Belluno, Udine, Gorizia, and Trieste. So it's a large area that really does cover most of north and northeast Italy. And it's around 24 to 25,000 hectares of vines. The denomination includes mountains and hills. However, the grapes are overwhelmingly grown on the plain. And the plains are away from the north. So we're heading, say, down towards areas in southern Udine. Of course, most of Venice and southern Treviso. Down towards Padova. All of this area is where the overwhelming amount of vineyards are found. Now, in general, work in the vineyards here on the flatland and harvesting is done by machine, and the vineyards are large, considerable economies of scale. High yields of grapes on the plains lead to wines of lower concentration. And as I mentioned, volume is generally the focus in this area, but of course, there's always exceptions to the rule. So let's go through the wine laws to begin with. Now, all Prosecco categories, all of them require the wine to be made from a minimum of 85% Glera, previously called Prosecco, but of course they've identified it now as Glera, so they can protect Prosecco as the geographical name. High yields are permitted, with lower limits for the higher quality denominations. Of course, we'll go through those in the next videos. Prosecco DOC has a maximum yield of 125 hectolitres per hectare. That is sizable. No minimum aging requirements, as the aim here is to express the wine's fruitiness and friendliness, and the wine must be sold in bottle, though of course there are canned expressions today. If labeled with a vintage, the wine must be 85% of that vintage. What about the business here? And Prosecco is business. The Prosecco DOC accounts for roughly half of Italy's considerably large sparkling wine production. And it's led to Italy becoming the world leader in the export of sparkling wine by volume. It has more than doubled in production in recent times, and production volumes in 2020 reached 500 million bottles. That's an exceptional amount. 80% were spumanti, that's sparkling. 17 were semi-sparkling, that's frizzante, and 3% were the recently introduced pink sparkling rosé category. Now, the wine business. So the average size of vineyard holdings is rising, but still averages around 2.5 hectares per vineyard, with many growers selling their grapes to merchants or cooperatives. There are roughly 11,600 growers, as you'll see depicted by the chart, but only 1,200 producers of base wine and only 350 makers of sparkling wine, including large multinationals like Zonin. Cooperatives account for just half of the fruit grown, while private companies bottle 3/4 of the wine. So, to put that into perspective, cooperatives make large volumes of base wine that they then sell to those private companies to finish. So, we have real distinctive middlemen here in that middle part of your chart. That rhymed. Again, I'm getting good at rhyming. So the other thing to mention is really the beating heart of Prosecco DOC would be Treviso. Now, it's the most important area for volume of production and the sale of base wines to the bottling companies, like I just mentioned. As noted, the name Treviso can appear on the labels after Prosecco, like you see in the example here, as long as the fruit is grown and the entire production takes place in the Treviso province north of Venice. A bit more about wine business. So the domestic market is 22% by volume and is seeing steady growth. And in Italy, nearly 70% is sold to supermarkets. Exports. The main exports are, of course, if you're in Britain, you'll know it's Britain, UK, the US, and Germany. These three markets account for around 65% of exports by volume. Wowzers. So we actually see, I've got a new one here. So France has started to outstrip it amazingly. So let me repeat that or refound it. My notes were mentioning Germany in third place, but France has just jumped that. Isn't that a bit of a sight for sore eyes? But huge numbers in the States and the UK. Now, in these large markets, Prosecco has become a brand and is seen as an everyday luxury, not just a weekend drop, for example, or a celebration. In some markets, it appears to be bought as an alternative to the cheapest discounted champagne or as an alternative to still inexpensive mid-priced rosé, hence the new creation of pink Prosecco. The popularity of Prosecco cocktails has also contributed to the growth. And after the substantial growth of recent times, the aim is to now stabilize and maintain the current levels of sales in the face of increasing competition, of course. What have they done on labeling? Well, let's have a look at that. In 2019, DOC Prosecco added two categories, a Brut Nature, which you'll see here on your picture, and Extra Brut. Now, these are aimed at those looking to find a drier style of Prosecco. Now, Prosecco has the full gambit, like the rest of sparkling wines that we find across most markets in Europe. And also, we've mentioned this as well. In 2020, the category of pink Prosecco, which must be spumanti, fully sparkling, and made from glera with up to 15% Pinot Noir as a red wine, was created. So we have this new created category. Now, they typically find the sweetness levels here at actually much lower, drier, Brut Nature to extra dry. And of course, the competition. A challenge for Prosecco has been to protect its name. Some Australian growers, most notably in King Valley, are continuing to use the name Prosecco for their glera-based sparkling wines. Of course, what Prosecco has done has changed the name of the grape to Glera and then tried to protect the name of Prosecco, of course. All of the Prosecco denominations require the wines to be sold in bottle only. What about cans? And they have been vigilant to stop other sparkling wines being sold on tap as Prosecco. So there has been work around this, of course, but might not always be successful. Well, that is my conclusion for Prosecco DOC. Please do join me for the DOCGs next. So the Garantita quality, which is the higher levels, Asolo, Conegliano, Valdobbiadini, for example. Once again, if you do have any comments and questions, maybe you want to have access to more of these videos, you may note that not all of them are available on the free market of YouTube, then please do get in touch. You can go and visit www.winewithjimmy.com for greater information, for more access, or you can get in touch by commenting on this video below. I would love to know your thoughts on Prosecco, if you like it, when you drink it, what are your favorites, have you been? It will be great information, please. But until next time, take care of yourselves. See you again. Goodbye.